Hello and welcome back to the Tech Blackboard. In recent times, many of my viewers have passed AZ-900 certification exams with great scores. A big congratulations to all of you. And I'm grateful to all of you who shared some of the latest topics and sections from where the questions came in the recent AZ-900 examination. Based on those valuable inputs, today we are going to cover 25 questions in part 13, and out of which 24 questions are absolutely new. And I'm pretty sure that these new questions will surely help the new Azure enthusiasts in their upcoming certification exams. And for those who are first time today here, a quick mention that a total of 191 questions are covered in this AZ-900 real exam question and answer series. Please do cover all the previous parts before appearing in your AZ-900 certification exam to greatly boost your scores. All the questions are very well explained and supported by proper Microsoft documentation. There are so many tips and tricks throughout the series that will immensely increase your cloud understanding. A great way to appreciate my work and effort is to give me a like and press that subscribe button. Do not miss to press that bell icon so that you don't miss any notification for our upcoming AZ-104 real exam question and answer series. Here is a quick mention of our numbering convention used in bonus part. In case the question in the bonus part is connected to any of the previous 11 parts, then the earlier connected question and the part it was published in will be available in this blue tag on the right corner of that question. And in case you want greater detail on this question, do check out the previously linked question published in this part. Moving ahead, if the question is absolutely new, then it will be just marked by the new tag. Let's begin our part 13 with question number 167. The question says that what should you use in Microsoft Sentinel to see visualization of an incident with related to alert and entities? Your options are workbook, analytics rule, connector, or investigation graph. The key sections that you want to notice is that we want to see visualization of an incident with related to alerts and entities. Now let's go to the Microsoft documentation to read and find the correct answer for this question. Here is the Microsoft documentation which talks more about investigate incident with Microsoft Sentinel. Please note that Azure Sentinel is now called Microsoft Sentinel. Now on the very first paragraph, you can read that this article helps you investigate incident with Microsoft Sentinel. After you connected your data sources to Microsoft Sentinel, you want to be notified when something suspicious happens. To enable you to do this, Microsoft Sentinel lets you create advanced alert rules that generate incidents that you can assign and investigate. This article covers investigate incidents, and then you can see we have use investigation graph, and then we can respond to threats. Now here, the important keywords that you want to notice are that we are talking about investigation graph, and we are also talking about it lets you create advanced alert rules. And that's exactly what our question is asking, that we want to visualize an incidents and also the alerts and entities. So the correct answer for this question is investigation graph. Now let's move to the question number 168. It talks about again Azure Sentinel, and it says that Azure Sentinel or Microsoft Sentinel use playbook to. Your options are monitor Azure service, maintain security certificates, run PowerShell scripts, or automatically respond to threats. The correct answer for this question is automatically respond to threats. If you want to know the logic behind selection of option B, then you need to check out question number 142 in part 11. Now let's move to the question number 169. This one says that which IoT solution is high security microcontroller and Linux based application in Azure? Is it IoT Hub or IoT Central, or is it Azure Sphere? The correct answer for this question is Azure Sphere. Now let's go to the Microsoft site to validate our answer. Now this is the Microsoft documentation talking more about Azure Sphere. You can read in the first paragraph itself that Azure Sphere is a secured, high-level application platform with built-in communication and security features for internet-connected devices. It comprises a secured connected crossover multi-controller unit MCU, a custom high-level Linux-based operating system, and a cloud-based security service that provide continuous renewable security. I hope you have already noticed the keywords microcontroller and Linux-based operating system. Before jumping to the PPT, I want to show you one more page that you can come and read more about Azure Sphere. This is a great page where you can learn more about Azure Sphere. From the Microsoft documentation, we learned that Azure Sphere is an IoT solution which is high security microcontroller and Linux-based application. So thus, our answer to this question is correct. Now let's move to the question number 170. It says that a VM can be deployed to multiple resources group. Is it yes or is it no? The correct answer is no. You cannot deploy same virtual machine to multiple resource group. You can move a virtual machine from one resource group to another. However, same virtual machine cannot exist in two resource group at the same time. And this is not only true for the virtual machine, but all other resources in Azure as well. So you cannot have the same resource in multiple resource groups. Please like the video if you're enjoying the content so far. And if you're new here, please do subscribe. Now let's move to the question number 171. This is a yes/no kind of question. So let's read the first statement. The first statement says most Azure services are introduced in private preview before being introduced in public preview and then in general availability. Now this is the documentation from Microsoft that talks more about the life cycle of any Azure service. If you will scroll down a little, here you can read more about the service lifecycle. And it clearly says that every Azure service starts in a development phase. In this phase, the Azure team collects and defines its requirement and begins to build the service. Once this development is done, then the next is that the service is released to the public preview phase. And post this public preview phase, you can read here that after a Azure service has been validated and tested, it is released to all the customer as production ready service. This is known as general availability. And that documentation from Microsoft clearly matches with this statement. So the correct answer for this statement is yes. Moving on with the second statement, we have Azure services in public preview can be managed only by using Azure CLI. The correct answer for this statement is no. You can manage Azure services in public preview not only using Azure CLIs, there are a lot of other options as well. For example, Azure Portal, PowerShell, API, and many more. Thus, the correct answer is no. Then the third statement says the cost of an Azure service in private preview decrease when the service becomes generally available. The correct answer for this statement is no. So this statement is wrong because the cost of Azure service does not decrease when it comes to general availability. Moving on with question number 172, which again is a yes/no kind of question. And let's read the first statement. The first statement says that the Trust Center is a part of Azure Security Center. The correct answer for this statement is no. The second statement says that the Trust Center can only be accessed by users that have an Azure subscription. The correct answer for this statement is again a no. And the reason for this is that Trust Center is an open site or open Microsoft documentation and anyone can read through. So you don't have to have an Azure subscription to read through or access the Trust Center. Then the third statement says that the Trust Center provides information about Azure compliance offering. The correct answer for this statement is yes, it does. So Trust Center is a Microsoft site where it gives a lot of information about the Microsoft or Azure compliance offerings. If you want to read more about Microsoft Trust Center, then this is the website where you can come in. And as you can see, I'm not logged in and still I can access this website. So this means that it is an open website and anyone can read through. And as always, you will find the link for this documentation in the description box. Friends, as always, I will give away the PDF version of the PPT that I'm using in this part 13. So if you are looking for the PDF version so that you can also study in the offline mode, then you have to give me the answers for the question number 168, 174, 183 and 191. Coming to the question number 173, a yes no kind of question, we read the first statement. It says that General Data Protection Regulation, or better known as GDPR, defines data protection and privacy rules. The correct answer for this statement is yes. Then in the second statement, we have GDPR applies to companies that offer goods or services to individual in EU. The correct answer for this statement is again a yes. So GDPR applies whenever you're dealing with any individual or company with EU specific data. So keep that point in mind. Then we have third statement which says that Azure can be used to build a GDPR compliant infrastructure. And the answer is of course a yes. If you want to get started with Azure GDPR and what are its capabilities, then this is a great page to come and read more about Azure GDPR. Now let's move to the question number 174. This question requires that we need to evaluate the underlying text to determine if it is correct. So let's read the entire statement. It says that from Azure Monitor, you can view which user turned off a specific virtual machine during the last 14 days. So the instruction given for the question is that you have to review this underlying text, and if you think that this statement or this Azure service makes this entire statement correct, then you have to choose no change needed. However, if you think that this service does not fit this statement, then you have to choose between three of these services given in option B, C and D. The correct answer for this statement is Azure Activity Log. So if you're looking for the logs on a virtual machine, for example, who turned it off, then Azure Activity Log is the place to go and not Azure Monitor. We have talked a lot about Azure Monitor in our previous 12 parts. I encourage you to watch those videos and you will get a lot of questions and understanding on Azure Monitor. This is an important topic and many questions come related to Azure Monitor. So please do not skip any of the previous videos. Now let's read out our question number 175. This question says that you need to require to evaluate the underlying text to determine if it is correct. So this is the underlying text. The entire sentence is that Azure Key Vault is used to store app secrets. Now what you need to do is you need to see if Azure Key Vault fits this statement or not. If it fits, then you have to choose no change needed. If it doesn't fit this statement, then you have to figure out which of these Azure service will fit in this statement. Now the correct answer for this question is no change needed. Most definitely Azure Key Vault is used to store app secrets. Now there can be one more variation of the same question where the Microsoft can ask that Azure Key Vault is used to store, instead of app secrets, it might ask you user secrets. In that case, this statement becomes wrong because Azure Key Vault is not used to store user secrets. It is used to store app secrets. So in case you get this variation where it says user secrets, then now you know the answer. Now let's move to the question number 176. This is again a yes no kind of question. So let's read the first statement. The first statement says that you can use Azure Cost Management to view cost associated to management groups. The correct answer for this statement is yes. Then the second statement says that you can use Azure Cost Management to view cost associated to resource group. The correct answer for this statement is also a yes. The third statement says that you can use Azure Cost Management to view the usage of virtual machine during the last 3 months. The correct answer for this statement is yes as well. If you want to read more about cost management and billing, then this is the Microsoft documentation where you can get started. Now let's move to the question number 177. The question says that your company plans to migrate all on-premise data to Azure. You need to identify whether Azure complies with the company's regional requirement. What should you use? Your options are the Knowledge Center, Azure Marketplace, My Apps Portal, or the Trust Center. The correct answer for this question is the Trust Center. Now let me take you to the Microsoft documentation where we can read more about Trust Center. So here I am on the Microsoft Trust Center portal, and you can see that it says that our mission is to empower everyone to achieve more, and we build our products and services with security, privacy, compliance, and transparency in mind. So you can already see that this page is primarily divided into three major sections. One is security, other one is privacy, and the third one is compliance. So if you want to read more about compliance, and that's exactly what our question also asked, local compliance or compliance at broader level, then you can come and read onto this page. The other two sections are equally important. Security, of course, this is built in all Microsoft services. Then privacy is an important aspect whenever we are talking about the data. So I encourage you to come to this page and understand all the three concepts that comes under Microsoft Trust Center. Moving on with the question number 178. This one says that Azure policy helps organization to enforce organizational standards and to access compliance at scale, or does it helps you to create security policy, or it helps you to create firewall rules? This is the Microsoft documentation page which gives more detail on Azure policy. Reading through the first line, we have Azure policy helps you to enforce organizational standards and to access compliance at scale. Keep this line in mind, organizational standards and to access compliance at scale, because that's exactly what our question is also asking for. So the correct answer for this question is option A, enforce organizational standards and to access compliance at scale. Moving on with the question number 179. Here we have an Azure cost management service allows customer to estimate the cost of running their on-prem solution on Azure services before making a purchase. Is that statement true? The correct answer is no. So it's not Azure cost management that enables you to estimate the cost before even making a purchase. The correct service that does that is Total Cost of Ownership Calculator. So this is the page where you can read more on Total Cost of Ownership Calculator. And if you will read the very first line, it says estimate cost saving you can realize by migrating your workloads to Azure. So total cost of ownership gives you an ability where you can estimate the cost which you have to incur when you move your solution to Azure Cloud. And that's why no is the suitable answer. Moving on with question number 180. It says that you can improve Composite SLA by adding redundant service to your application. And the correct answer for this question is yes. Of course, when you add a redundant service, then it gives you a better and improved SLA. The next question we have is 181. It says that you can access Compliance Manager from Azure Active Directory Admin Center, Azure Portal, Microsoft 365 Compliance Center, or Azure Service Trust Portal, where from you can access the Compliance Manager. To better find the answer, let's go to the Microsoft documentation. Now here we are on the Microsoft documentation that talks more about Microsoft Compliance Manager. And on the very first line, you can read that Microsoft Compliance Manager is a feature in Microsoft 365 Compliance Center. It also says that Compliance Manager helps you manage your organization's compliance requirement with greater ease and convenience. But I hope you have noticed that Compliance Manager is a feature in Microsoft 365 Compliance Center. And that's exactly what our answer is as well. Microsoft 365 Compliance Center. Now let's move to the question number 182. This question says that North America is represented by a single Azure region. So do you think that North America has only one single Azure region? The correct answer is no. So North America has several Azure regions, including West US, Central US, South Central US, East US, and Canada East. So it has multiple Azure region, and that's why we have selected no. Then we move on to question number 183. This question says that which service provides network traffic filtering across multiple Azure subscription and virtual networks. Options given are Azure Key Vault, Azure Firewall, and Azure Security Group or Azure Trust Portal. The correct answer for this question is Azure Firewall. Now let's move to the question number 184. It says if you set permission to an Azure resource group, all the Azure resources in that resource group inherit the permission. The correct answer is yes. The reason being that whenever you have Azure resource group and there are multiple resources inside that resource group, so if you set a permission on a resource group level, then it actually descends or it is inherited by all the resources in that resource group. So keep that small tip in mind. Now further we have question number 185, a yes no kind of question. Let's read out the first statement. The first statement says that one Microsoft account can be used to maintain multiple Azure subscription. The correct answer is of course yes. So you can have multiple subscription under one Microsoft account. The second statement says that two Azure subscriptions can be merged into a single subscription by creating a support request. The correct answer is no. You cannot merge two subscriptions in Azure. Then we have the third statement which says a company can store resources in multiple subscriptions. The correct answer is yes. Of course, you can store resources in multiple subscription. So you can create subscription as per your need. Always remember that the Azure billing is always associated with Azure subscription. So for example, if you want to create a subscription for your HR department or you want to create a subscription for your finance department so that you can track the expense that these departments are incurring on Azure resource. So that's how you can manage different resources in different Azure subscription. Now let's move to the question number 186. It says that you created multiple new subscription, then a virtual machine can be moved to new subscription. So exactly what question is asking you is, let's suppose that you have a virtual machine and you have two Azure subscription, subscription A and subscription B, and you have this virtual machine in subscription A. So can you move this virtual machine from subscription A to subscription B? The correct answer is yes. Yes, you can move a virtual machine from one subscription to another subscription. Now let's jump to the question number 187. It says that Azure Key Vault automatically generates a new secret after every use. The correct answer for this question is no. So Azure Key Vault does not generate a new secret after every use. That's why we have chosen a no here. Now let's move to the question number 188. The question says that you plan to deploy several Azure virtual machines. You need to control the ports that devices on the internet can use to access virtual machines. What should you use? Your options are a network security group or NSG, an Azure Active Directory, a network gateway, or Azure Key Vault. The correct answer for this question is a network security group. To properly justify the answer, let me take you to the Microsoft documentation. So this is the page that talks more about network security groups. It says that you can use a Azure network security group to filter network traffic to and from Azure resources in Azure Virtual Network. It says further that Azure Security Group contains security rules that allow or deny inbound network traffic or outbound network traffic from several types of Azure resources. If you remember, our question talked about the ability to control the ports, and that's exactly what the next line says, that for each rule, you can specify source and destination, port and protocol. And that documentation from Microsoft justify our answer. Moving on with the question number 189, it says that your Azure environment contains multiple Azure virtual machines. You need to ensure that a virtual machine named the Tech Blackboard VM1 is accessible from Internet over HTTP. The solution given here is that you modify DDoS protection plan. Does this meet the goal? Now let's check out one more variation of the same question. Here in question number 190, the question is same, however, the solution is different. This time it says that you modify an Azure Traffic Manager profile. So does this meet the code? The correct answer for question number 189 is no, and 190 is also no. This is because if you want to ensure that a virtual machine named the Tech Blackboard VM1 is accessible from internet over HTTP, then in that case you have to modify either Network Security Group or Azure Firewall. Thus, both the option Azure Traffic Manager Profile and DDoS Protection Plan are not correct. If you want to read more about Azure DDoS protection, then you can come on this page. And if you want to have more insights on Azure Traffic Manager, then this is the page that you can refer. The links for all the Microsoft documentation that I have referred in this video are available in the description box below. Now let's move to the question number 191. Friends, this is the last question for our AZ-900 real exam question and answer series. So far, we have covered 191 questions in 13 parts. And I would strongly recommend you watching all these parts before you appear in the Microsoft AZ-900 examination. Also, as Microsoft keeps changing the question, I will also be releasing more parts in the coming times so that you are updated with the latest questions. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you are not missing the latest update on Microsoft AZ-900 examination. Now let's read out question number 191. It says that your company plans to deploy several web servers and several database servers to Azure. You need to recommend an Azure solution to limit the types of connection from web server to the database server. What should you include in the recommendation? Your options are Network Security Group, Azure Service Bus, a local network gateway, or a route filter. The correct answer for this question is Network Security Groups. I hope you enjoyed this series on AZ-900 real exam question and answers. Once again, a big thanks to all of you viewers who truly supported me throughout this series. And do not miss to subscribe to the channel and press that bell icon as a brand new series on AZ-104 real exam question and answer series is to be launched very soon. And you don't want to miss any notification on that series. If this video has added any value in your learning, a like and subscribe is highly appreciated. Share this video in your family and friends to spread and expand their learning. Your comments and feedback give me a chance to interact with you, and I look forward for them. We will meet again in our next video. Till then, stay fit, keep learning, and thanks for watching.